Hello. Check 1, 2. Can everybody hear me okay? Feel free to respond in the chat. We should be live. Excellent. Welcome to the 2020 Marching Band Parent Information Meeting. My name is John Russell. I'm one of the directors here at White Oak. If you're new to us this year, Mr. Singleton is one of the other band directors, and he'll be chatting with you guys towards the end of the meeting. If you guys could go to White Oak Bands, let me double check that. Yeah, whiteoakbands.com. And if you go to member information, if you just hover over member information and go to forms and docs, that is all of the forms that we're going to be going over this evening. The coronavirus has kind of put a damper on things. We're still, full speed ahead, planning on doing everything that we need to do to make sure that we have a successful marching season this fall. So that's the reason that we're meeting today. I just want to get information out to everybody and give everyone the opportunity to properly plan for the things that are coming up with marching band, and just be aware of the commitment, the time commitment, all of the events that we'll be doing, as well as the cost to participate and all of that sort of general information. Some of it might seem a little overwhelming. So if you have a question, feel free to post it in the chat, and then I can address it once I get the opportunity to sort of pause and look at some of those questions. So feel free to use the chat, and please share this stream with other folks. I believe it'll stay recorded on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, so they can go back and watch it if they weren't able to be here or they didn't have a device to be able to access it. So we're going to start with the welcome letter and permission form. Let's see. So the first 2 pages are just a couple letters of welcome from Mr. Singleton, who is the lead director for marching band. He'll be doing most of the instructional components for the marching band. I'm kind of the administrative director and taking care of all the behind the scenes things logistically to keep the band moving forward. So he's written a couple letters to the new members that you can read at your convenience. On the 3rd page, there's some items that you need to review to kind of prepare yourself, and just some tips and some things to just kind of ease your mind if you're nervous about being in marching band for the first time. So you can check that out. The next page is important rehearsal materials. It's important that everyone has a 3-ring binder, because we do pass out a lot of music and different items that they'll need to have with them at practice every day. A lot of paper gets used. We play a lot of music in the stands, as well as our show music and drill pages and things as well that they'll need to keep up with. So a 3-ring binder is very important. They're also going to need to make sure they have a pencil so they can write things down. When we are doing rehearsal outside, it's very important that the students have comfortable athletic shoes, that they don't mind getting dusty or dirty or getting wet. Sometimes the grass is wet in the mornings. So we want to make sure they have comfortable moving shoes that allow them to participate with 100% integrity. We don't want the shoes that they're wearing to sort of limit their abilities to maneuver around the field. The other thing that is important is to have a small sort of black hand towel, and that's so that the students can lay the towel on the ground and have a protective place to place their instrument. I know the grass may not seem as big of a deal, but bugs or dirt or things can kind of get into the keys of woodwinds, sometimes the pads. So we want to make sure that instruments don't get damaged in that fashion. So it's pretty easy just to get a black towel from Walmart or Target or wherever you do your shopping. It's especially important for the concrete. We don't usually recommend instruments be placed on the concrete for that reason, because they can be damaged. But if for some reason we need to, we do have that towel to kind of protect people. So let's see. Tuner metronome, there's a suggestion there for the kind of tuner metronome you might get. This is for individual practice, as well as sometimes some of our upperclassmen will be leading a rehearsal, so it'd be good for them to have a metronome as well. They also make metronome tuner apps that you can have downloaded on your phone. A lot of them are free. Some of them are very inexpensive. If you're an iPhone user, we both use what's called Tonal Energy Tuner, or TE Tuner. That is a great tuner. I think it costs $5, but they're constantly updating it and making it even better. It's very beneficial to education. Let's see. Next, water jug. This is very important. So they make these handheld 1 gallon like water jug, little thermoses. They have a little spout that you can open up and drink from. It's important that our students have access to a lot of water because it does get hot out there in the North Carolina summers. And we want to make sure they have plenty on hand. They will have the opportunity to get water, but it's a lot easier logistically if they have a huge container, so they're not constantly running back and forth to the water fountain or to the cooler to fill it up, because they're going to be drinking a lot of water, because we want to make sure that they stay hydrated. Ball cap, just like this, to keep the sun out of your eyes and make sure that we kind of limit our exposure to the sun on our face as much as possible. For some of us that do get sunburned a lot, it's vitally important. It can really drain you of your energy if you feel like the sun is constantly beating down on you. So definitely a hat and sunglasses are also good. So it just eases your eye strain. Again, with as much time we're going to be spent outside, it's very important that you at least have a hat. And sunglasses are important too. Sunscreen is also important. That'll be emphasized a lot going forward. We probably should add that to our list if it's not on there already. But it's easy to get sunburned, especially when we're spending 8 or more hours a day outside. So you need plenty of sunscreen to kind of reapplicate throughout the day to keep everybody in good physical condition. So the last 2 pages are just information form, and then just parent initials saying that they understand that we will be taking lots of field trips and the method of transportation, and just sort of the general expectation of student behavior in regards to the White Oak High School student conduct handbook. And we also have a band handbook that will come out over the summer. Once we make updates for the entire next school year, that will come out, and the students will be governed by those policies as well. So you're just initialing that you give consent for the students to participate, and that they will adhere to the guidelines. And then the last sort of signature is just a commitment form saying that you understand the financial obligations, the student expectations, the rehearsal calendar, that everything's been explained to you clearly, and that you've asked all the clarifying questions so that you understand what it is you're signing up for. And then, you're signing that saying that you acknowledge all of that information. So that form is what, signs you up and confirms your spot for marching band. So we need that form back as soon as possible, and we'll get into the logistics of that, considering that we're not in school for the next 2 weeks later on in the meeting. So the next form that we're going to look at is the marching band fee sheet. So this explains the cost for each student to participate, and where those costs go. At the top, the very first charge that you'll see is the marching band fair share. And so what that is we took all of the expenses that it costs to run the band. So transportation for buses, we have a team that is composing our show for us this year. They're writing custom music, custom percussion parts. We have drill writers that are writing custom positions. Someone just asked where the forms are located. If you go to whiteoakbands.com, click on member information, or put your hover over that and click on forms and docs. I can post, let me see if I can find the direct link here real quick. There's a folder that has them in there as well. Okay. If you follow this link that I'm putting in the chat, that'll take you to a folder that has those forms in there as well. If you go to bit.ly/WOHS band info, and it is case sensitive, or you can go to whiteoakbands.com, click on or hover over members on the menu right there, and then click on forms and docs. Okay, so getting back to the fair share agreement, all the costs that it takes to run the band, hiring the people to write the show, as well as the instructional staff that will be here working with us both during camp and throughout the season. The costs of color guard uniforms and flags, all of that cost is distributed over the projected number of students that we're going to have. So currently, we're basing it off of last year's numbers, and we were at about 110 students. So that's where that $300 cost comes out to. If you multiply 300 by 110, that's how much money it costs to run the marching band. It is not a cheap endeavor, but the product that we get as a result of that high caliber of show and materials and props, it really speaks for itself when we're at competition. So that is paid by every participant, that $300 fee. And then if you're new to the band, there's a marching band bag that you need, as well as marching shoes. And so if you're new to the band, you will add those numbers as well. The other thing that every participant pays is band show shirt. We get a shirt that's designed for our show and based on the theme of our show, and that's unique every year, and that is part of the uniform that the students wear after they get out of their marching band uniforms. After we change out, after a competition, they'll be in their show shirts so that we can stay uniform throughout the day. We also use this for football games. The students wear the show shirt as the casual sort of uniform for marching band when it's still too hot to wear the full uniform. So everyone has to get a new show shirt every year. So that's $15 that's paid by every participant. And then if you are a wind player, so everybody except percussion and guard, you need gloves, and that's $3 a pair. And then guard has jazz shoes, which is a particular type of color guard shoe. So they do not buy the marching shoes, they buy the jazz shoes. And then color guard gloves are unique to the color guard as well. So you add all the costs up that apply to you and put it in the total charges box, and then that's what it costs for you to participate in band. So then below that is the deposits. The first deposit is due April 3rd. And we designed these forms before all of this stuff hit, so there definitely is some flexibility, and we'll talk more about that in a second. The second deposit is due on May 1st, and then the third deposit is due on June 5th. And so any remaining balance after that is due by August 3rd. And so that is the deposit schedule that we're looking at. As far as fees, paying the fees, you can drop off checks at the school while the office is open. We're open daily from 8 to 2:30. It may actually be open as early as 7:15. I'll need to double check on that. But it's definitely open within the confines of the digital school day. So that's 8 to 2:30. And you can drop off checks, money order. We take cash as well. Just make sure that the envelope is clearly labeled so that when our booster president, Miss Matlock, comes to pick it up, she knows clearly what it's for and who it belongs to. She'll receipt it, and then she'll give the receipts. She'll drop the receipts back off, and then I can get those to you. We also offer online payments. That was something that we struggled with last year because the system kept going down. But we finally do. Oh, yes. Thank you, Ms. Tanya. That is make the checks out to White Oak Band Boosters. But we do offer online payments this year. Again, it's back up. We're using a different system, and it's also tied to our website. So if you go to whiteoakbands.com, right there in the center, it says online payments. You'll click on online payments, and that'll take you to our payment screen, where it just gives you a brief description about making sure that when you make the payment, you put your child's name and what it's for, so that when we get the money on the back end, we know how to properly credit it to their account. So you just click on make a payment, and it takes you to the payment system. Now, unfortunately, it does charge a fee. So when you pay the amount to the band, the online payment system takes the fee out of that, and we have no way to tack that on the front end. So just know that I believe it's, and Mr. Singleton can correct me on this if I'm mistaken, but I believe it's a flat $5 fee if you do a bank draft, and it's a percentage if you use a credit card. So if you're paying in full, it's better to do a bank draft because the charge, the percentage, be greater on a higher amount of money. And so what happens is whatever the net amount that comes into the band is what will actually be credited to your account. And we'll post on the payment screen what the exact charges are, so you can overpay so that it equals out to the exact amount that will credit to your kid's account. If it doesn't, then you'll just end up owing a small little, $5 or $10 on your band fee that you'll have to clear up another time. But you just click on that online payment, you put in your name, and then you check if you're doing a bank draft or a credit or debit, and then you just hit send, and it comes straight to us. Just please make sure in the description you put what the child's name is. We don't necessarily, not everyone knows whose parent is whose kid's who, especially when you have over 100 kids in bands. So just please, so that it gets credited accurately and efficiently, please indicate which child's account it's going towards. Okay, continue to post questions if you have them. I'm going to move on to the next form. We have the tentative schedule. That is subject to change basically up until band camp. We try to make it as accurate as possible, but throughout the summer, and especially right now, there's a lot of uncertainty with things going on. So we will send out updates and update that tentative calendar, up until it's the published sort of final calendar, and then any changes made after that will just be communicated via text or email. But as long as you're looking at the most current version of that form, of that calendar, then everything's good to go. So tentatively, we were supposed to have Color Guard auditions on the 22nd. That's, a lot later than 2 weeks. So, optimistically, it could possibly still happen, but there's just a lot of uncertainty right now. If we do have it, that will be on April 22nd. In May, we're planning on doing the Motivational Mondays. Again, the specific dates will be dependent on when we're back in school and how that works going forward. But we do intend on doing the Motivational Mondays. June 2nd, we're going to have our band picnic. I believe I have to get clarification on the time for that. But that's the yearly picnic that we do for everybody that participated in bands. Just a fun time of fellowship and just kind of a final send-off going into the summer. And then band camp starts in July. So the first couple days, July 16th and 17th, is going to be leadership training. And we do plan on doing student leadership interviews and have a process for that. But unfortunately, we'll have to wait and see when we can do that process. But as soon as we're able to do that, obviously we'll get information out about that. The first sort of day of band camp, there's going to be a little bit of leadership training in the morning, and then the rookies. So anybody new to the band, whether you're a rising ninth grader or you haven't marched before, you've done concert band in the past, if you're brand new to marching band, you're going to come at 1 o'clock on the 21st. Make sure I'm saying that right. Yeah, on the 20th and the 21st, to get that basic sort of introduction to how to march, how to carry your instrument, the general sort of learning the White Oak way. And then percussioning well on their music and their routine and choreography and things like that. On the 22nd and the 23rd, it's going to be full band going from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to take a lunch break from 12 to 1. And we'll have more information on that as band camp gets closer. Next week is 8 to 5, and that's July 27th through the 30th. So that's a full day of band camp, doing music, possibly setting some drill, a little bit of fundamentals work as well. And then band camp week 3 is kind of diving in head first, whatever we haven't started on the week previous, getting drill set and starting to learn our show. And then all of the weeks up until week 4 are Monday through Thursday, so that people can still have a chance to do some traveling and stuff on the weekends. You'll have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to go and do a few things. But the final week is going to be Monday through Friday, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we're starting a little bit earlier this year so that we can avoid the student drivers that need to be home by 9 if they don't have their after 9s. That's the primary sort of reasoning behind that, so that we have plenty of time for students to get home. If you're an athlete and you have a morning practice, just get with us. We don't expect you to miss your athletic practice. We'll just kind of work that out and get you caught up as soon as you can get there, because we know, I believe, cross country and soccer practices early in the morning during the summer. So we'll definitely work out those conflicts. So no worries there. So then we have a home JV game. We're adding those back in this year. Basically, any week that we don't have a home football game or an away game that is in town, if we don't have any game of any kind that we would normally travel to, then we're going to do a JV game that week. So we have JV versus Croatan on the 20th, and then the following week we have a home game, and then we have an away, and then a home game in September. Several football games. Let's see. Our first competition is going to be the Onslow County Showcase. And that's not actually a competition, but all the high schools in Onslow County come and present their show. It's kind of like a dress rehearsal warm-up for the competition season. The county hires some judges to come in and give us some feedback. We don't hand out placements, but it's a good experience for the kids to see the other shows in Onslow County, and for us to get some good information about our shows. And then October is like the competition month. So we have Northside. We are hosting a competition on the 10th. That is something that we've done for at least the last 20 years, I believe. It's a huge community event, and we're definitely going to need lots of help getting that event pulled off. I think we have probably like 4,000 or 5,000 people on our campus that day. The White Oak Band Classic is on the 10th. We're going to have another competition on the 17th. And then we're going to go to Havelock on October 31st this year. We also have homecoming is on the 23rd against West Carteret. And we are not going to a competition that weekend, so that students are able to go to the homecoming dance are able to do that. So we worked that out this year. And then November and December, we have Christmas parades and another football game. So that's just kind of a quick overview of the season. Yeah, it may seem overwhelming, but once you get in a rhythm of things, it's really a lot of fun. So we're definitely looking forward to that. Got a question about the show reveal tonight. Mr. Singleton is going to speak to that once I finish doing the overview of all the forms and information. I believe this is the last form, the medical form. We need that before any student can participate in a rehearsal. It's very important in case the student requires hospitalization or something happens and we need to call 911. We have instant access to that information. All it is just contact information for the parent and the student, and then emergency contact information, and then just a brief sort of medical history if they have any ongoing medical conditions that a paramedic may need to know, as well as any other sort of treatment things that may come up, or any sort of underlying health conditions that we may need to know about as they participate in marching band. It also has a notary section at the bottom, and the reason for that, it may seem like overkill, but in the event that your student needs surgery or something where you can't immediately get to the hospital or anything, we have that protection in place so that, with approval of administration and obviously in communication with you, we're able to go ahead and initiate any emergency treatment that the student might need, in the event of something unfortunate like that happening. So that does need to be notarized. You can get it notarized anywhere that you do banking. A notary is free. We also have a notary that one of the band parents or somebody that we know is able to do notaries. We'll have information out about when that person will be here to do it. But it's really easy to go to the bank, wherever you have a checking account. They usually notarize for free. I know I bank at the State Employees Credit Union, and I was able to get notaries done, no problem. So let's see. All right. I believe that's all of the general information. Like I said, the first deposit is technically due on April 3rd. We're definitely going to be flexible with that. If you're able to make that payment, that would be great, so that we can go ahead and start getting rolling on some of the expenses that we have coming up, with getting the music ordered and getting equipment and things like that. But it's not the end of the world if you can't make that April 3rd deposit. The big thing is the commitment form, signing the pages that are connected with those 2 welcome letters. If you could get that to us ASAP, that will give us an indication of who is definitely able to do it. And, so we can get a better idea of what the numbers that we're going to be working with is, because our show is written for the exact amount of people that we say are going to be in band. So if we say it's 113, they're going to write 113 spots. If we say it's for 109, they're going to write 109 spots. So if we say it's for 113, and then we only have 109, there's holes that we have to figure out how to work around. So we want to make sure that we get the precise number of students as early as possible so that we can plan correctly. Yes, you can pay for 2 students with 1 check. Just write on the check the 2 students, and we would assume that it would be divided up evenly. But if there's some kind of different amount, just indicate on the check how you want the fees dispersed. I don't think that will be an issue. The discount, someone asked about discount for multiple children in band. Unfortunately, we're not able to offer a child discount specifically, but we will offer a scholarship opportunity. I just need to work out the final logistical details. We have planned for students that may need some assistance, some financial assistance, but we can't offer just a blanket discount, just because, like I said, we took the exact costs of what it takes to put every kid on the field and divided it up by every kid that we hope will participate. So if we do a sibling discount, then that's expenses that we have to eat, which we don't mind doing. We just need to kind of look at it from a scholarship standpoint so that we know exactly, we're able to plan a little bit better. So no on the discount, but there will be a scholarship opportunity, and we can talk more about that. Let's see. Guest band for the showcase. At this time, we don't have anybody lined up. I don't believe we've had a band every single year. I've been reaching out to a couple different bands, but our competition is on a couple of bands' fall break. So that's been a little bit limiting, I guess, the way the calendar has fallen. I'm going to continue to reach out to bands to see if we can get a exhibition band, but right now we don't have anybody scheduled. So, all right. If there's no other questions, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Singleton to kind of talk about the show a little bit.
All right. Hey guys, so nothing really to tell just yet. We're still getting some stuff together. We want to make sure that when we give you guys a show reveal that we give you guys a full-on out detailed explanation of everything that's going on with the show. The writers right now, I've heard a couple of the drafts of the music. As you heard Mr. Russell saying, it is a custom written show just for us, and the drill and everything. They are working together as a team and are meeting frequently to make sure that you guys are being set up for a successful season this fall. So be on the lookout these next couple of weeks for some more information on the show. I have on that right now, but be on the lookout for that. Go ahead and make sure that you're filling out all the forms and getting everything turned in so that we can get more of this on the road. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Yeah. And then back to you, Mr. Russell.
All right. I got a text message. The showcase. You know where the showcase is going to be, Mr. Singleton? Okay. So the location of the Onslow showcase is tentative. I think it's going to be, it's either Jacksonville or Richlands. Swansboro, maybe?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's what it was 2 years ago.
It's tentative at this point. They're just kind of working out some logistical things behind the scenes. Nothing that we have control over. So as soon as we get that information, we'll pass it on. But it is still tentative at this point. All right, that's all I have. I'll just kind of wait for a little bit longer to see if anybody else has any questions. Again, you can either go to bit.ly/WOHS bands. WOHS is capitalized, and band info is lowercase. If you go to that site, you can go to the folder that has the forms in it, or you can go to White Oak Bands and hover over member information. There'll be a little quick menu, and then you click on forms and docs, and then there'll be links to each form on our public website. You can drop the forms off in the office. When I just saw a question from Tracy Kreitz, you can drop them off in the office. Yes. Oh, yeah. I will text out the link to Charms text messaging. And if you got a text about this meeting, then you're in the system. If you did not get a text, I need to update your information to make sure that your cell number is in there. The other email service that we use, it's down right now. We're not able to access it. So the only method we have for sending out information is through Charms email. So if you don't get messages through Charms, or emails through Charms, then please email me or just post it in the chat, and I can go through the chat and figure out what numbers need to be updated. You can drop them off in the office. If you have the ability to scan an email, that works too. My email address, I'll put it in the chat, is john.russell@onslow.k12.nc.us. So if you have the ability to scan an email, you can do it that way. You can mail it as well. The school address is 1001 Piney Green Road, Jacksonville. Let's see. So you can mail them, scan, email, drop them off whenever the school. If you need assistance, you can just email me and I can set up a time to meet you if you can't get out to the school. I'm willing to work with you in whatever way that I can. So let's see. Any other questions? Okay, great. So Ms. Pinion said that she can notarize on the first day of band camp. So July 20th, when the freshmen and the leaders are here, she'll be available to do any notaries that need to be done. Thank you very much. Any other questions? While I've got everyone here, I'm going to send out a charms text. So if you don't get a text, just let me know and I can fix that. Let's see, communicate. Text. If they are new, they're not going to come until 1. So we're going to do a leadership training from 9 to 12, and then those students will have a lunch break, and then at 1 o'clock, the student leaders will come back and train the rookies from 1 o'clock on. So the first couple days where the time is split, if they're brand new, they don't need to come until 1 o'clock. Yes, just an email last week. Okay, Miss Harris. If you could text your number to 252 679-2813 or email me. I can update your phone number. Two 2813. Mr. Lewis, if you could send your number to 252-679-2813, I can get it updated. Also, let me know who your student's name is. I can account. Okay. I'll leave a couple copies in the office, and you can just fill them out while you're there, and leave them there, and we can take care of it that way. But they will need to be printed so that you can initial and sign, and make sure that that's done correctly. Disney is still happening as of right now. We wanted to make an official announcement and hold an interest meeting later on this year. Well, we were hoping for before spring break, but at this point, everything's on hold. So we will have information as soon as we have it. But the intention is definitely to go to Disney spring of 2021. We just have to wait and see how all this virus stuff plays out. But the intention is to go to Disney. And the price, I don't have any information on that yet. So. We got a question about the kids being allowed to leave campus for lunch. We're still working through that. I know traditionally they have been allowed to leave campus for lunch. That's something that we'd like to kind of take more in-house and be able to eat together as a group. But if we need to still have some open lunches just for the sake of shifting that sort of idea, we're going to experiment with both options. I think for liability reasons and just sort of general sort of togetherness. I think it's good that the kids have a chance to eat together and socialize without being in rehearsal. Plus, from a liability standpoint, it's not the greatest if kids are leaving campus in the middle of the day, so that yeah, it's just safer to have everyone there at the beginning of the day and then release them at the end of the day. But I know that's not been the tradition, so we're gonna just kind of experiment with that and figure out a best combination of that. Okay, Mr. Lewis, I did get your number updated, so it should be correct now. You should be getting texts. We did not announce the name of the show. Mr. Singleton is still working on that. He wants to wait until we have the entire thing ready to reveal it, just so that we get the full experience once it's finally announced. So just stay tuned. I know it's based on the information, but it's because we want it to be the best possible product that it can be before everyone gets to see it. So continue to stay patient. All right, a couple more minutes and then I'll go ahead and end the stream. This has been a great response. I think it's awesome that we still were able to meet. And this stream should stay on the YouTube page. So if anybody wasn't able to watch it, they can go back and watch it and get the information at any point. So I'm glad that this was able to work out, and I'm glad that we had some really great questions and some participation from the group. And looking forward to a great season. If there are no further questions, then I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in, and look forward to having everybody in marching band. And one final comment. Volunteerism is super important. It's the reason that we're able to maintain the fair share that we do have. A lot of the money raised, well, all of the money that we raise goes into all of the costs around marching band, but not specifically tied to marching band. So like we do snacks for the kids during games. We feed them occasionally sometimes. We purchase new equipment, cables like microphone cables for sound equipment. Sometimes they have to purchase music and stuff, what the kids are doing on the field, but go into putting the kids on, going into our competition, doing concessions for football games and soccer games. All of that helps to to offset costs and to keep the fees down. If we have above and beyond fundraising, then we're able to reduce that fee even more. So this is what it's set at right now. But if we have a really great fundraising year, then we're able to comfortably say, the boosters can kick in an additional, $3,000 or $4,000, for example, towards student fees. And so we're able to lower the individual student cost by like, $25, $30, for example, just to kind of keep that down.